All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about a strategic blueprint that's designed to help you absolutely conquer HackWithInfy Round 2. So forget what you think you know for a second. We're going to build a smart, super focused plan right from the ground up.
First things first, let's tackle the biggest question that's probably on your mind. What is this round actually testing? I mean, is it about knowing some obscure, complex algorithm or writing hundreds and hundreds of lines of code? What's the deal? Well, the answer is way simpler, and honestly, more profound than you might think. It is a test of your problem-solving ability. It's all about how you think, not just how much you can code. And making that mental shift, that is the absolute key to everything.
So with that in mind, let's crack open the expectations for this round. Understanding what they're really looking for is your first and most important step to victory.
So take a look. This is exactly where the focus lies. They're looking for your raw problem-solving skills. They want to see your ability to think about optimization, and of course your capacity to write clean, logical solutions. Forget brute force. That's not going to cut it. You can expect one or two genuinely complex problems, but they're designed to test your thought process, not just your ability to remember some syntax. All right, so since we can't possibly study everything, right? The next logical step is to focus our firepower where it counts the most. Prioritization is everything here. And boom, this table perfectly illustrates where your energy needs to go. That must-do category, that's completely non-negotiable. Arrays, strings, greedy, math, and hashing problems are your bread and butter. You have to know them. Then you can move to the very important tier, which is your basic to medium DP and recursion. Now, if and only if you have time left over, you can touch upon the basics of graphs and bit manipulation. But please do not spread yourself too thin. Okay, now we get to the real core strategy of this entire blueprint. This is the secret that separates the people who struggle from the people who succeed. It's all about shifting from just solving individual problems to recognizing the underlying patterns. Seriously, let this sink in. If you only learn how to solve specific problems, you're going to be completely lost when you see something new. But if you learn to identify the pattern a problem follows, well, now you've got a framework. You have a toolbox to solve almost anything they can throw at you. So what does a pattern even look like? That's a great question. Let's start with a classic one that you see pretty frequently, digit manipulation. This pattern is all about breaking a number down into its individual digits. Think about problems where you need to sum up digits, or reverse parts of a number, or handle carryover values, a lot like in those beautiful function-type problems. The key here is to think about numbers not as a whole, but as a sequence of digits that you can work with individually. Okay, our next pattern is all about finding the smartest shortcut. It's called greedy reduction, and it's all about making the best possible choice at every single step along the way. So with this pattern, you're making the best choice you can at each step to simplify the problem. You're constantly trying to reduce the problem's size, a lot of times using division or some kind of folding logic. The paper sheets problem is a perfect example of this. You're not looking for some grand, complex solution. You're just looking for the best immediate move to shrink the problem down. Okay, so now we know what to study and we know what patterns to look for, but how we practice is just as important, maybe even more so. And trust me, it is all about quality over quantity. This slide right here is absolutely crucial. The wrong way to practice is to just mindlessly solve dozens of easy problems. The smart method? You take 10 to 15 really good quality medium-level problems, and you go deep. For each one, you understand the brute force approach first, and then you figure out how to optimize it. You manually trace your code on paper to really understand its logic and find the bugs yourself. That's where the learning is. For those of you on a tight schedule, here is a super actionable 7-day sprint. And notice how it's built around our high-priority topics and patterns. We start with the fundamentals, we move to specific patterns, we simulate the real thing, and most importantly, we dedicate a full day to reviewing our mistakes. That last day is pure gold. You know, preparation is one thing, but performance under pressure, that's a whole other ballgame. So let's talk about your strategy and your mindset for the actual exam day itself. So here it is, your exam day protocol. When a complex problem appears, you do not panic, you just breathe. Then you spend your first 10 to 15 minutes only understanding the problem. Read it, reread it, and work through the examples by hand. I'm telling you, that process alone will often reveal the underlying pattern you need to solve it. And of course, here are the traps to avoid. You know the biggest one?
Jumping straight into coding, that is a recipe for disaster. Always plan first. Also, don't ignore edge cases. Don't just skip the math problems. And make sure your practice includes challenging questions, not just easy wins.
To wrap up our strategy, here are 3 final golden tips. First, you have to actively seek out and solve previous year's questions. They are the best indicator of what you're going to face. Second, remember, your goal is to be a problem solver, not just a coder. And finally, the skill of turning a slow, brute force idea into a fast, optimized solution, that is the single most valuable skill you can have for this round.
So let's end with a little reality check. This isn't about magic. It's about consistent, focused effort. If you commit to solving just a few quality problems every single day, and you truly focus on understanding the patterns behind them, you're not just preparing. You are building the exact skill set they are looking for. You have a real chance to do this. Now go make it happen.